On today's video, we're talking about Rees-Zammit's current progression with the coaching staff. Plus, there was a big scare for the Chiefs' two biggest stars. And finally, you won't believe who showed up at Chiefs practice on Sunday. Steve, give us the rundown.
Just another St. Joe Sunday, Mike, but we're as close to football season as Noah Lyles was to losing his gold medal yesterday.
Let's go.
According to Arrowhead Pride, 4 Chiefs back at work in lighter Sunday practice. A reserve wide receiver was missing. After a day off on Saturday, the Kansas City Chiefs conducted their 12th 2024 training camp practice. Sunday's practice was a lighter 10-10-10 workout. That's 10 offense, 10 defense, 10 special teams plays. Players are not dressed in full pads, but in spiders and shells. A number of players were back to work. Wide receiver Justin Watson, cornerback Najee Johnson, offensive tackle Wanye Morris, and safety Dion Bush practiced with the team. And cornerback Jalen Watson set aside the yellow non-contact jersey he wore during Friday's practice. The big story of the day was Jon Gruden. Legendary Raiders coach Jon Gruden was at Chiefs training camp today, helping out with the coaching staff. Gruden is decked out wearing KC team gear. Also, Dave Toub gave a progress report on Rees-Zammit's transition to football ahead of preseason week 1. Toub is pleased with what he's seen on special teams thus far. For me, he's been great, Toub said. I mean, he's doing a good job as a returner. You know, he's got to continue to get better as a running back. He's got to learn stuff and pass blocking. It's a major hurdle that he needs to figure it out, because that's a big part of what we do in our offense. So that's where he's at. Daily Mail reports out Travis Kelce hates being away from Taylor Swift as the pair do long distance during Chiefs training camp and Eras tour. He tried to fill the void with another pop star as him, Mahomes, and Chris Jones went to a Morgan Wallen concert. However, a man was threatening to shoot Chiefs stars Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce Friday night at the Morgan Wallen concert. He has been arrested by local authorities. Before the arrest, there were about 40 minutes where the concert was delayed as they were attempting to locate the suspect. They actually put out a police sketch of the suspect, and Joe Burrow's whereabouts were completely unknown. However, another guy's been arrested for the crime.
Let's jump right into Jon Gruden being at practice on Sunday, Steve. A lot of Chiefs Kingdom think he was trying to get a job. Others think he was just visiting Andy Reid because they go all the way back to the Green Bay coaching days. What do you think? Do you think Jon Gruden's going to end up on this coaching staff?
I have no idea, Mike. I'm not completely opposed to it. Jon Gruden has a long history in the NFL. Like you said, him and Andy go way back to the Green Bay Packers days. So he does have a lot of football knowledge. Obviously, he had all that trouble off the field that caused him to lose his job with the Raiders. So that's a lot of baggage. But the Chiefs are known to give people second chances as far as players go. So why wouldn't they do it with coaches?
Right. Jon Gruden's more of like a quarterback whisperer, I guess. I don't think we really need that. Matt Nagy, Patrick Mahomes, they have a pretty good relationship that's always been like that. I don't think Patrick Mahomes needs any lessons from Jon Gruden, let's be completely honest. But I wouldn't turn it down on this coaching staff. Why? It's just going to give the haters another reason to hate. It's going to be a hot poker to the souls of Raiders Nation out there. Okay, look, when they're getting their prison time, they're going to see the news scroll across the bottom and say Jon Gruden joins the Chiefs, and that's just going to deflate them even worse than their pathetic lives already are. So I'm not super opposed to it. Do I think it's going to happen at the end of the day? Probably not. Let's jump into Rees-Zammit, Steve. Dave Toub seems to be pleased with him on special teams so far. And we've said this from day one. If he's going to make this team, Rees-Zammit has to be a contributor on special teams. We've seen the new kickoff rule the other night in the preseason Hall of Fame game. It was a little weird. I heard that when they tested that with people, half of them liked it and half of them thought it was strange. I personally think it was strange, and I think by the end of the year, they're going to be booting it out of the end zone and getting it on the 30. I just don't see it being a big deal. But, Steve, Rees-Zammit, this dude's got to get it a little bit better at the running back position, and I think that's exactly what Toub was saying, and that's what Rees-Zammit himself has said countless times.
For sure, Mike, the ticket to Rees-Zammit making this 53-man roster is special teams. We all know that. But he's going to be slotted on the roster as a running back, so he has to get up to speed at that position. He has to learn the pass pro, and he has to get familiar with football in general. We saw what it looked like when he first got pads on at camp, Mike. He got beat around a little bit. It's just not his sport. It's a little bit different. He's got to get familiar with it, but I think he can do that. And like you said, with the new kickoff rules, maybe he can be an asset to the team.
Yeah, our friends across the pond are rooting for him to do well. A lot of Chiefs Kingdom's rooting for him to do well. We're rooting for him to do well, but we got to realize he's battling for RB4 right now. We seen yesterday in practice, and a long time before that, Deneric Prince is starting to get some first-team reps along with Isaiah Pacheco. Plus, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to make this team. That's a big battle right there, and it's probably a battle with Carson Steele. And to be honest, Carson Steele is gaining a lot of trust from the coaching staff, and Andy is speaking highly of him right now. So it would not surprise me if Carson Steele doesn't bully him right out of the RB4 position and right onto the practice squad. Moving on to the next, we've got Mahomes, Kelce, and Chris Jones at the Morgan Wallen show, Steve, and it looks like some guy tried to make a threat. Chiefs Kingdom gets hated. Patrick Mahomes is hated. Travis Kelce's hated. All these lunatics out here, Steve, when they can't beat the Chiefs, they resort to violence. Who do you think was behind this? Was this guy a Raiders fan? Was he a Burrow fan? Was he a Josh Allen fan? We know it wasn't Josh Allen himself because God knows if he would have tried to hit somebody with something, he'd have got it intercepted.
It could have been the CIA or the Secret Service itself. I'm not for sure yet. It's yet to be determined. But it's pretty funny. It's got to be some kind of bitter fan or someone that lost a bet. It's one of two things, Mike. I really started thinking about it. It could have been Raiders, Bengals, any of those fans. They're all bitter, right? But I think the one that would be mad enough to try to take those two out would be a 49ers fan because they've not lost just one, but two freaking Super Bowls because of these two guys. And the other is anyone that bet the over on 50-plus rushing yards of Patrick Mahomes in Super Bowl 54 because he knelt down the ball on the last drive and lost a total of 20 yards to go to 49.
Either way, the dude who did it, a huge loser. Let's not send him to jail. Let's not waste the tax dollars. Let's drop him off somewhere, a one-way ticket to Antarctica, Steve, with a windbreaker and a TV so he can just watch a loop of bad Raiders football over and over again.
Hear ye, hear ye. It's time for Beyond the Kingdom.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Hear ye, hear ye. It's time for Beyond the Kingdom, Mike, where we go outside of Kansas City and look at news from around the league, starting off with a divisional rival. Chargers defensive end Joey Bosa left practice early Sunday with an apparent hand/wrist injury. Before we talk about the effects of that, Mike, how is this guy not the bastard child of Dan Campbell? Look at this guy.
He looks pretty similar. Dude, they're having some bad luck up there. I don't know if Hardballs is running a hard camp. I don't know what's going on. The other day we seen the quarterback, Herbert, get injured. He hurt his plantar fascia or whatever it is. Now you've got this guy out with his wrist and his hand. Maybe he's been horned up on the Blue Chew. He's got a little wrist injury working. I don't know what's wrong with him, but I don't really care. I have no sympathy for the Chargers. I have no sympathy for any interdivision games. Anybody in the NFL but the Chiefs, I do not care about.
Not even a little bit, Mike. Moving on to Carolina, the Panthers wide receiver Xavier Legette to undergo MRI. X-rays came back negative on the foot he injured at training camp, Mike. That's a big blow to them. This was their first draft pick.
I like Xavier Legette. He's battled injuries throughout his time at South Carolina. You really like Xavier Legette. I'm glad it come back negative. This could still impact how he gets going this year. I mean, if you're missing some camp as a rookie, it's not a good thing. Bryce Young, not the greatest quarterback either. They've got some problems there, but I think he'll recover and get over it.
Right. I think the MRI is going to tell the story there. Is it going to be serious? Is it not? But I do think Xavier Legette and Jonathan Mingo are both very good receivers with a big ceiling. If they get something going in Carolina, eventually get a quarterback rolling, they might be pretty good. Moving on, one of our favorite subjects ever, Russell Wilson. There's optimism that Steelers QB Russell Wilson could be cleared to practice this week, per Tom Pelissero. Mike, it's time for Russ to cook in Pittsburgh, baby.
Dude, they don't want that. There's no optimism to get Russ back. Just stay with Justin Fields. I've been watching some camp stuff up there in Pittsburgh. Fields has been throwing a good deep ball. He's been making good decisions. You don't want Russell Wilson back. Keep him on the injury reserve. Wherever he's at, keep him there.
Man, I'm so glad that we have the greatest quarterback to ever play. The greatest of all time. Because what would it be like if we had two pretty crappy quarterbacks that people thought could be good, but they just can't do it? And that's what you're trying to pick from. I'm glad that's not us. Do not feel bad for Pittsburgh, though. Jaguars waived tight end Josh Peterson, the son of head coach Doug Peterson, with an injury designation. Mike, does it make it any better that he had to cut his own son with an injury designation?
I don't think you ever want to cut your own son. Does it? I guess it kind of sucks, though, because Now he's injured and he has to get cut, and you had to deliver the news. That's like a trifecta of suck.
Sorry,
but to be
son,
honest,
let's try basketball or something. This football's not working out.
yeah, I was going to say, do you think this guy's really going to make the team and contribute? Probably not. That's usually the way it works, right?
You think the only reason he was on the team anyway is because he was the coach's son?
I don't want to demean his athletic talent, so I'm not going to say that.
Mike, an old friend here, Cam Irving, offensive tackle, signed with the Houston Texans. They're still loading up down there, getting a lot of depth pieces. They're trying to take advantage of this rookie contract with CJ Stroud, bro. They're going all for it.
Right. Apparently they have unlimited roster spots, unlimited salary cap. It's amazing what they're doing down there in Houston. There needs to be a documentary and a study done about this because they've managed to pull in every single player and free agent there was available, and they're still going. I don't know if it's needed. I don't know if it's going to gel, and honestly, I don't care because I think CJ Stroud's going to take a little bit of a step back this year because defenses now have all those games to now prepare for him going forward, and I think he takes a little step back.
Absolutely. Tyreek Hill's new Dolphins deal ups his guaranteed money to $106.5 million, Mike. That's pretty damn ridiculous.
Dude, you know who's the most happy about this? All the babies' mamas and the mamas' mamas and the mamas' mamas are happy about this because they're going to get paid, baby. Look, this dude, I would say he needs to go out and seek a Trojan sponsorship, but we know he's not going that route when it comes to the deed, baby. So I don't know what he's going to do, but he's got a lot of money. And hey, you said he actually got a nice prestigious award from the NFL the other day as well.
Yeah, he's the number 1 ranked player in all the NFL, according to the players. Mike, are these players a little butthurt by number 4? Patrick Mahomes?
Ooh.
Did he hurt them so bad they refused to give him number 1, even though it's glaringly obvious?
Look, I don't think that anybody in their right mind does not believe Patrick Mahomes is not the best player. If you did the top 100 players of all time, Patrick Mahomes is higher than number 4.
Right.
So now you're just going to specifically go back to one single season. I heard that they actually do this around the Pro Bowl voting.
It doesn't matter.
And that the players maybe thought that Christian McCaffrey is having a better season and this and that. It's still ignorance. It's still stupidity. I get it. Mahomes hadn't won the Super Bowl yet or anything like that. But come on. At this point, like anybody with a brain knew that our receivers last year were complete garbage. Brett Veach hung them out to dry all season long. There just wasn't a lot he could do. Like he can't throw it and catch it himself. Patrick Mahomes should have been number 1, but look, let's let these other dudes get wins where they can because we all know that in February, they don't get any wins.
Yeah, and as much as I hate Jamar Chase, I will give him a shout out here. At least he was brave enough to just get out there and tell people why he didn't do it because he's freaking salty. Every one of them salty, Mike. Patrick Mahomes hurt them in some way, sometime during their career, and they are butthurt. That's all there is to it.
Patrick Mahomes is number 4, according to the league. Patrick Mahomes knows in his heart and in all of our hearts, he's number 1. So he's about to come out and go scorched earth. BetUS has him as a plus 500 to win the MVP. And right now, BetUS is giving you 125% deposit match up to $2,000. So get down in the description, click that link, and sign up for BetUS today.
Easy money, baby. Go do it. Also, thanks for liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell. We'll catch you next time.
Cheers.